rejoices. Open the gates before him, lift up your voices. Who is the King of glory? How shall we call him? He is Emmanuel, the promise of ages. The King of glory comes, the nations rejoices. Open the gates before him, lift up your voices.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.
Amen.
The grace and peace of our Lord Jesus Christ, the love of God, and the communion of the Holy Spirit be with you all.
And with your spirit.
Good morning,
Dear friends in Christ,
Good morning, Father.
we thank God for bringing us together once again to worship at His throne as we bring our various intentions before God at this Mass. To prepare ourselves to...
Lord Jesus, you came to reconcile us to one another and to the Father. Lord, have mercy.
Lord, have mercy.
Lord Jesus, you heal the wounds of sin and division. Christ, have mercy.
Christ, have mercy.
Lord Jesus, you intercede for us with your Father. Lord, have mercy.
Lord, have mercy.
May Almighty God have mercy on us, may He forgive us our sins and bring us to life everlasting.
Amen.
At this Mass, we are requested to pray for the peaceful repose of the soul of El Martin. We continue to pray for healing for Pabo, for Uju, and for Gary Janek.
Let us pray. O God, strength of those who hope in you, graciously hear our pleas, and since without you mortal frailty can do nothing, grant us always the help of your grace, that in following your commands we may please you by our resolve and our deeds. Through our Lord Jesus Christ, His Son, who lives and reigns between the unity of the Holy Spirit, one God forever and ever.
Amen.
A reading from the second book of Kings. When the Lord was about to take Elijah up to heaven in a whirlwind, he and Elisha were on their way from Gilgal. Elijah said to Elisha, "Please stay here. The Lord has sent me on to the Jordan. As the Lord lives, and as you yourself live, I will not leave you," Elisha replied. And so the two went on together. 50 of the guild prophets followed, and when the two stopped at the Jordan, they stood facing them at a distance. Elijah took his mantle, rolled it up, and struck the water, which divided, and both crossed over on dry ground. When they had crossed over, Elijah said to Elisha, "Ask for whatever I may do for you before I am taken from you." Elisha answered, "May I receive a double portion of your spirit?" "You have asked something that is not easy," Elijah replied. "Still, if you see me taken up from you, your wish will be granted, otherwise not." As they walked on conversing, a flaming chariot and flaming horses came between them, and Elijah went up to heaven in a whirlwind. When Elisha saw it happen, he cried out, my father, Israel's chariots and drivers." But when he could no longer see him, Elisha gripped his own garment and tore it in two. Then he picked up Elijah's mantle that had fallen from him and went back and stood at the bank of the Jordan. Wielding the mantle that had fallen from Elijah, Elisha struck the water in his turn and said, "Where is the Lord, the God of Elijah?" When Elisha struck the water, it divided, and he crossed over. The word of the Lord. Responsible song. Let your hearts take comfort, all who hope in the Lord. Let your hearts take comfort, all who hope in the Lord. How great is the goodness, O Lord, which you have in store for those who fear you, and which Toward those who take refuge in you, you show in the sight of the children of men. Let your hearts take comfort, all who hope in the Lord. You hide them in the shelter of your presence from the plottings of men. You screen them within your abode from the strife of tongues. Let your hearts take comfort, all who hope in the Lord. Love the Lord, all you his faithful ones. The Lord keeps those who are constant, but more than requites those who act proudly. Let your hearts take comfort, all who hope in the Lord. Please stand. Alleluia, 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 alleluia. Whoever loves me will keep my word, and my Father will love him, and we will come to him. Alleluia. Alleluia. Alleluia.
The Lord be with you. A proclamation from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. Jesus said to his disciples, "Take care not to perform righteous deeds in order that people may see them. Otherwise you will have no recompense from your heavenly Father. When you give alms, do not blow a trumpet before you, as the hypocrites do in the synagogues and in the streets to win the praise of others. Amen, I say to you, they have received their reward. But when you give alms, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing, so that your almsgiving may be secret. And your Father who sees in secret will repay you. When you pray, do not be like the hypocrites, who love to stand and pray in the synagogues and on the street corners, so that others may see them. Amen, I say to you, they have received their reward. But when you pray, go to your inner room, close the door, and pray to your Father in secret. And your Father who sees in secret will repay you. When you fast, do not look gloomy like the hypocrites. They neglect their appearance, so that they may appear to others to be fasting. Amen, I say to you, they have received their reward. But when you fast, anoint your head and wash your face, so that you may not appear to others to be fasting, except to your Father who is hidden. And your Father who sees what is hidden will repay you. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise the Lord Jesus Christ.
The story was told of a young convert who had gone to the shopping mall and after reading this part of the gospel, and it was a cold winter, and on his way he saw a young boy who was not well clothed, very cold in the winter. While he was entering, he looked around and saw a lot of people. He had extra jackets with him, but he would not give the boy because he doesn't want his right hand to know what his left hand is doing. So he entered the mall and decided he would come back later in the evening to give this young boy this jacket because he wants to follow the instruction of the gospel. Nobody should know that I'm doing charity. He went home and came back in the evening. But it was too late. The boy had caught pneumonia and had been taken to the hospital. Apparently, the boy died. What Christ is telling us in today's gospel reading is not so much about secrecy in charity. Christ doesn't want us to be like this foolish young convert who delayed his charity. Rather, what Christ tells us today in today's gospel reading is our disposition when we do charity. Our mind, our frame of mind, and our mindset when we decide to lend an helping hand. There are some people who, when they want to do something, or when they do something, it must be trumpeted, or they lack humility in their charity. They are never humble. They want everybody to sing their praises. If there is no praise, there is no charity. That is what Christ wants us to watch today. In our giving of self when we fast, and in our giving of self to others, in our giving of self to God when we fast, and in our giving of self to others when we do charity. How do we carry this out? Do we go around boasting of this? Or do we carry it out in charity, whether people see us or not? I work in a very difficult place in the eastern part of Africa, and I know what it means to give food regularly. I know what it means to extend hands of charity. But sometimes I ask myself, why do I do this? Do I do this to win the admiration of men? No. Once your disposition is to give charity to win the admiration of men, then you have lost the reward God is expected to give you. You have lost the reward you are expecting from God. But your charity should be done selflessly, disinterestedly, without longing for any admiration from men. People come around, most time when I go for mass, I carry bags of maize and beans. You have to do this, whether people see you or not. It's a difficult place to be. It's really a mission land. But you have to do it. You have to do it because that is the instruction of God for us. As missionary, as Christian, and as his children. That is the instruction. Giving yourself without looking back, unreservedly. Giving yourself without waiting for the praises of man. And to adequately do this, you have to constantly keep yourself attached to God. It's beautiful when we have exposition here every morning. Tapping from the grace of God to be able to do Christian charity. Tapping from the grace of God to be able to carry out this Christian responsibility. If you lack this grace, dear friends, you will be doing it for your own self-interest. The man the two guys that went to the temple to pray, the Pharisee and the tax collector. One stood at the front, the tax collector stood at the front. God, I know I'm a sinner. The other boasts of several great things he has achieved. Religiosity. I fast twice in a week. I do charity. I do this. Boasting of his own praise, of what his own achievements. Forgetting that he was able to achieve that through the grace of God. And the scripture told us that man who is a tax collector, a seemingly sinner, a notorious sinner, went home more righteous or more fulfilled and more blessed than that man who had boasted of his own achievement without acknowledging God. Keeping ourselves in, and that is, if you look at the first reading, that tells us a lot how we can achieve this self-giving, giving of self, doing charity, achieving these graces, involving God. When we keep ourselves attached to God, especially at the Blessed Sacrament. Elisha was able to receive double portion of Elijah's blessing because he never let go of Elijah. He said, as God liveth, I will always follow you. And Elijah said, if you are there when I'm being taken up, you will receive what you desire. He never let go of him. He never let him out of his sight. We should never let God out of our sight. We should never let go of God. To really be holy, to really keep ourselves in the space of God, we have to constantly be with him. You know, Christian religion or Christian faith or faith matter is not something you go on vacation on. You cannot say, I want to take time out to be a Christian. No. You have to constantly keep in touch. Keeping in touch through our relationship with Christ at the sanctuary. Making time out to be with Him. So we pray at this Mass for the grace to give ourselves wholeheartedly, not for our own selfish interest, but because God has instructed us to do that. And it's because when we do that, we will be richly rewarded. It's for our own good. Elisha kept close to Elijah and received his reward. Keep close to God, and the reward will always be yours. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.
Amen.
In thanksgiving to God for the gift of today, we pray for the grace to give ourselves to God wholeheartedly without waiting for the praises of man. We pray, O Lord.
That the gospel of Christ may be the center of our life together as a church and community. We pray to the Lord. That all churches and faith communities will find unity in the gospel of the risen Christ. We pray to the Lord. That the Pope, our bishop, and all ministers of the church be compassionate fishers of soul for God. We pray to the Lord. That the nations and peoples of the world may live in peace, working together to protect the dignity and rights of all. We pray to the Lord. That those who walk in the darkness of illness, addiction, and abuse will see the great light of Christ. We pray to the Lord. That the faithful who have died may dwell forever in the house of the Lord. We pray to the Lord. For your own personal intentions.
For our brothers and sisters who are sick, we continue to commend them into the hands of God. For our sick community members, that God in His mercy may come to touch them and heal them. For them we pray to the Lord.
We ask our Blessed Mother Mary to intercede for us as we say, Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with you. Blessed are you amongst women, and blessed is the fruit of your womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Make all our prayers through Christ our Lord. Amen. Blessed are you, Lord God of all creation, for through your goodness you have received the bread we offer you. Fruit of the earth, a work of human hands. It becomes for us our bread of life.
Blessed be God forever.
Blessed are you, Lord God of all creation, for through your goodness you have received the wine we offer you, fruit of the vine and work of human hands. It becomes for us our spiritual drink.
Blessed be God forever.
It's a one contrite heart only be acceptable by you, Lord, as a sacrifice to please in your sight through Christ our Lord. Pray, dear friends, that my sacrifice and yours may be acceptable to God, the Almighty Father.
May the Lord accept the sacrifice of your hands for the praise and glory of His name, for our good and of His holy church.
O God, who in the offerings presented here provide for the twofold needs of human nature, nourishing us with food and renewing us with your sacrament, grant, we pray, that the substance they provide may not fail us in body or in spirit, through Christ our Lord. Amen. The Lord be with you. Lift up your hearts. Let us give thanks to the Lord our God. It is truly right and just, our duty and our salvation, always and everywhere to give you thanks, Lord, Holy Father, Almighty and eternal God. For just as Through your beloved Son, you created the human race, so also through him, with great goodness, you form it anew. And so it is right that all your creatures serve you, all the redeemed praise you, all your saints with one heart bless you. Therefore, we too extol you with all the angels. In joyful celebration, we acclaim. Holy, 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 God of hosts, heaven and earth are full of your glory. Hosanna in the highest. Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord.
Hosanna in the highest.
You are indeed holy, O Lord, the fount of all holiness. Make holy, therefore, this gift, we pray, by sending down your Spirit upon them like the dew fall, so that they may become for us the body and blood of our Lord Jesus Christ. At the time he was betrayed and entered willingly into his passion, he took bread and giving thanks, broke it, gave it to his disciples, saying, "Take this, all of you, and eat of it, for this is my body, which will be given up for you." In a similar way, when supper was ended, he took the chalice, and once more giving thanks, he gave it to his disciples, saying, "Take this, all of you, and drink from it, for this is the chalice of my blood, the blood of the new and eternal covenant, which will be poured out for you and for many for the forgiveness of sins. Do this in memory of me." The mystery of faith. When we eat this bread and drink this cup, we proclaim your death, O Lord, until you come again. Therefore, as we celebrate the memorial of his death and resurrection, we offer you, Lord, the bread of life and the chalice of salvation, giving thanks that you have held us worthy to be in your presence and minister to you. Humbly we pray that, partaking of the body and blood of Christ, we may be gathered into one by the Holy Spirit.
Remember, Lord, your church spread throughout the world, and bring her to the fullness of charity, together with Francis, our Pope, Daniel, our Archbishop, Charles, his auxiliary, and all the clergy. Remember also our brothers and sisters who have fallen asleep in the hope of the resurrection, and all who have died in your mercy. Welcome them into the light of your face. Have mercy on us all, we pray, that with the Blessed Virgin Mary, Mother of God, with Blessed Joseph, her spouse, with the blessed apostles and saints, St. Paul, St. Peter, St. Joseph, St. Andrew, St. Philip, St. Timothy, St. Elizabeth, St. Veronica, St. Cecilia, St. Anne de Beaupré, St. Josephine Bakita, St. Monica, St. Martha, St. Lucy, and all the saints who have pleased you throughout the ages, we may merit to be co-heirs to eternal life. May praise and glorify you through your Son, our Lord Jesus Christ.
Through him, and with him, and in him, O God, Almighty Father, in the unity of the Holy Spirit, all glory and honor is yours forever and ever.
Amen.
At the Savior's command, and formed by divine teaching, we dare to say, Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Deliver us, Lord, we pray, from every evil. Graciously grant peace in our days, that by the help of your mercy we may be always free from sin and safe from all distress, as we await the blessed hope and the coming of our Savior, Jesus Christ.
For the kingdom, the power, and the glory are yours now and forever.
Lord Jesus Christ, who said to your apostles, "Peace I leave you, my peace I give you," look not on our sins, but on the faith of your church, and graciously grant her peace and unity, in accordance with your will, who live and reign forever and ever. Amen. The peace of the Lord be with you always.
Now let us share a sign of peace with each other.
Peace, Dennis.
wisdom.
You take away the sins of the world. Have mercy on us.
Lamb of God, you take away the sins of the world.
Have mercy on us. Lamb of God, you take away the sins of the world.
Grant us peace. Behold the Lamb of God. Behold him who takes away the sins of the world. Blessed are those called to the supper of the Lamb. Lord, I'm not worthy that you should enter under my roof, but only say your word, and my soul shall be healed. Let us pray. As this reception of your Holy Communion, O Lord, foreshadows the union of the faithful in you, so may it bring about unity in your church through Christ our Lord.
Amen.
Pardon my use of this thing. I told you I'm coming from the village, and I don't have this kind of thing. That's why I'm bringing it out and putting it back in my pocket several times. I will get used to it if I stay long in America. But I'm not going to stay long. I'm going back to Kenya.
I'm sorry.
The Lord be with you. The Almighty God bless you, Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Amen.
The Mass is ended. Let us go in peace to love and serve the Lord.
Thanks be to God.
Do have a great day.
Thank you, Father.
Thank you.
Join in our exit song, King of Glory, 423, verse number 2, please. The King of Glory comes, the nation rejoices. Open the gates before him.